People picked their sides very quickly and strongly when it comes to the Don't Say Gay bill. But today, an outlier. A Republican senator proposed an amendment that got bipartisan support to tweak the language of the legislation so the LGBTQ community isn't marginalized. But despite heated debate, that amendment was not adopted today. And now the bill is on its way, unchanged, to the Senate floor.
I didn't call the bill the no gay whatever bill. This has all been fabricated by the media, my friend.
On Monday, the senator sponsoring House Bill 1557, or the Don't Say Gay bill, as LGBTQ people and allies call it, spoke out in a final push to get the proposal to the full Senate.
I'm not doing this because I hate anybody. I'm not trying to demonize anybody. I'm just trying to come back to center point. Parents must be in charge.
But some lawmakers say the text of the bill says otherwise.
When you single out people, there is a deep, deep, deep sense of hate.
For over an hour, passions ran high.
This bill will kill children, my peers, my friends.
People traveled from all over Florida to speak for and against the controversial proposal.
That this will endanger people like me and people like my friends.
I actually think this bill protects children.
Senators, don't say gay is just don't ask, don't tell for our kids.
This bill has nothing to do with don't say gay, but it has everything to do with parental rights.
There's nothing right about punishing a child based on their sexual orientation or gender identity for a political win.
This is not about hate. This is about love.
Ultimately, the Senate Appropriations Committee gave their stamp of approval.
And so by your vote, the bill will be reported favorably.
The bill's next stop, the Senate floor. And while lawmakers have mostly voted along party lines so far, one Senate Republican says he's against the legislation until changes are made.
Can we find a way to modify the language in such a way that our neighbors in this room don't feel harmed? I have to believe the answer to that question is yes.
So again, today was the bill's final stop before the full Senate floor. Michelle.
Under investigation, this letter that the head of the Florida Department of Education sent to Orange County Public Schools says he is investigating the district's new mask mandate. He's concerned it violates the Parents' Bill of Rights, which gives parents the final say on the mask debate. He ends with a threat that if the district is found in violation, he will move to withhold the salaries for all members of the school board. But that threat is now butting heads with this judge's ruling on Friday.
A school district adopting a policy such as a mask mandate is acting within its discretion.
That schools can make students wear masks. So we asked Governor Ron DeSantis about the conflicting decisions.
Governor, what should parents take away in the face of the judge's decision on Friday? Orange County has a new mask mandate, but they're not the only ones. Here in Brevard, Volusia last night. So what should parents take away this week as this is all ongoing?
So I would just say, I think there have been some local authorities who have violated the law and have basically taken the decision-making authority out of the hands of parents.
Both the governor and DOE tell me that they plan to appeal the judge's ruling. Meanwhile, the U.S. Secretary of Education tweeted on Tuesday that the federal government could help pay salaries if the state stops by using federal pandemic relief funds. We asked the governor about the federal government's potential intervention.
Response to the federal government that they may subsidize what the state doesn't pay?
The federal government wants to bail out union-backed politicians with tax dollars. That is not a good use to bail out politicians.
In Orange County, Marlei Martinez, WESH 2 News.
I asked Governor Gavin Newsom about this today.
Could you please explain for those who are growing frustrated, why don't facilities and county health departments have to release specific updates related to COVID outbreaks? For example, identifying the facilities, especially at a time when information is so vital.
I'm with you, and you will be receiving by site that information.
See if President Trump took classified documents there from the White House. WESH 2's Marlei Martinez is on the ground at Mar-a-Lago, and Marlei, there's a lot of outrage and a lot of questions.
Where we're standing, we're just a 5-minute walk from former President Donald Trump's home. You can see Mar-a-Lago right there. There are a lot of groups out here, majority to support Trump, including one Central Florida man with connections to the Capitol riot.
Flags flanking both sides of the bridge that leads to former President Donald Trump's Florida home. A line of cars near Mar-a-Lago seen by the air and ground. People showing their support on Tuesday, a day after the FBI searched Mr. Trump's estate.
I was shocked and surprised that the FBI would do that. I think it's political because the midterms are coming. The midterms are coming.
Sources with knowledge of the search say FBI agents were looking to see if the president took classified documents with him to Florida after leaving the White House. On Monday night, Trump posted a lengthy statement online confirming what happened, saying they even broke into my safe. He called it the weaponization of the justice system and an attack by radical left Democrats who desperately don't want me to run for president in 2024.
He does not deserve what he got in the treatment that he got.
Ben Pollock drove 3 hours from Polk County. He says to be here for Trump, but also for his family.
Because we were at January 6th.
Pollock says the FBI is searching for his son, Jonathan, who was at the Capitol riot. The FBI releasing this video saying Pollock's son is accused of assaulting multiple officers. He's still on the run.
Fortunately, my son, I don't know where he is. It was worth it. The American people need to stand up and realize that their country has been stolen from them. I'm holding the flag upside down because I need the American people to come to my rescue.
This week's FBI search comes after the National Archives said in February that 15 boxes of White House records were discovered at Mar-a-Lago containing classified material and referred this to the Justice Department. This, as a law enforcement expert, says a judge would not have granted a search warrant on Mar-a-Lago without probable cause. In Palm Beach, Marlei Martinez, WESH 2 News.
For over 50 years, Disney has been in charge of its own government. So once you pass where I'm standing, you move from Orange County into the Reedy Creek Improvement District, where Disney is in charge. Well, now the governor says lawmakers are considering dethroning Disney.
Years before the Cinderella Castle opened, Walt Disney himself convinced Florida to crown his company ruler of this land, establishing the Reedy Creek Improvement District in 1967. But now Disney's independence is under the microscope in the wake of the company denouncing Florida's new law, the Parental Rights in Education Law, also called the Don't Say Gay Law by critics. Now, at this special session, Governor Ron DeSantis says lawmakers will consider stripping Disney's autonomy.
But they also will be considering termination of all special districts that were enacted in Florida prior to 1968, and that includes the Reedy Creek Improvement District.
I think that there is a pretty high probability that Disney will lose its power of self-government.
UCF political science professor Aubrey Jewett says from a politics standpoint, the governor's move makes sense.
He knows that his supporters look at Disney as a woke corporation, and they love it when Governor DeSantis goes after a corporation.
But from a public policy standpoint,
this is just crazy.
It's not only Disney's special district on the line, but over 130 others, including the Greater Orlando Aviation Authority, though majority of the others are already governed by cities and counties. This, as Reedy Creek's budget shows, the district is projected to spend nearly $10 million more than it makes. So without Disney, who's paying?
We don't know how it will affect Disney, a huge employer. We don't know how it will affect the Central Florida economy. You don't want to rush into this when you don't know what the ramifications could be.
Jewett says there could be good reason to reassess Disney's power, but stresses the analysis should be methodical.
You know, Universal Studios doesn't have that special arrangement. SeaWorld doesn't have that special arrangement. Will Disney adapt if this happens? Yeah, they'll have to. But again, it just seems ill-advised to rush into this, right? Even though it might be a good idea.
Lawmakers are only looking at special districts established before 1968, meaning the Villages, which is also a special district, would not be impacted. Coming up at 6, we've got lawmakers' reaction. Live in Orlando, Marlei Martinez, WESH 2 News.
In just 1 year, you've probably heard these 3 words more than you can count.
Critical race theory.
Twisted critical race theory into classrooms.
We must eliminate critical race theory at every level.
It is repulsive, it is anti-American, and it is as racist as it gets.
But what exactly is critical race theory?
How would you define critical race theory?
Indoctrinating.
What is the definition of critical race theory?
I don't think that I can define it, but I think it's allowing the truth out about how we've treated people.
Be it bad, good, whatever, it is our history.
Do you have any thoughts on it?
I don't even know what that is.
Critical race theory, the latest buzzwords But what's the noise all about?
In the most basic terms, simply put, what is critical race theory?
So the easiest way to understand it is that it teaches you to understand your state institutions, the Department of Education, the Department of Corrections, from the perspective of race. The best analogy is to think about it in terms of gender studies.
Dr. Eric Small has been a philosophy professor at Rollins College for 15 years. This will be the first year he teaches a critical race theory class. He says universities first started formally teaching CRT in the 1970s. Fast forward to today, Florida's governor doesn't want to hear about it in public schools at all.
We have this ban now at Florida public schools that they can't teach it, but were they teaching it to begin with?
This is a great question. So I sometimes think of this conversation as a solution in search of a problem. No schools, certainly not high schools in the state of Florida or anywhere else, would have been teaching critical race theory because it's scholarly work. You'll see it in graduate schools, in law schools, and PhD programs, but you certainly wouldn't see it in grade schools.
So if Florida public schools aren't even teaching CRT, then why all the controversy now?
Critical race theory has pervaded every institution in the federal government.
This is why conservative activist Christopher Rufo spoke out against CRT on Fox News last summer.
And is now being weaponized against the American people.
Grabbing the attention of then President Donald Trump, who quickly issued an executive order banning critical race theory just weeks later. Since then, President Joe Biden reversed Trump's ban. But other Republican leaders are now blocking CRT in their own states, including Governor Ron DeSantis.
Teaching kids to hate their country and to hate each other is not worth 1 red cent of taxpayer money.
In early June, the State Board of Education approved the ban.
Opposed, say aye. Aye.
But that unanimous vote
allow teachers
Could somebody
to teach the truth.
outraged others. Ben Frazier sounded off and led protesters before being escorted out.
It's an effort to whitewash, cover up, and candy coat history.
So what exactly does Florida's new rule ban? Well, it bans teaching that racism is embedded in American society and its legal systems in order to uphold the supremacy of white persons.
While Florida leaders try to silence CRT lessons, Professor Small says now the conversation is already underway.
Students are interested. They want to know, what is critical race theory and what should I think about it?
A flashpoint in Florida schools, sparking both educational and now political debates. In Orlando, Marlei Martinez, WESH 2 News. As students prepare to go back to school, some parents are already working on what they do and don't want their kids to learn in the classroom. On These Moms Don't list, critical race theory.
Parents have been shut out of the schools. Our concerns have been downplayed.
Ashley Hall is the Brevard County chair of a new conservative parent group called Moms for Liberty. This chapter accused Brevard Public Schools of supporting CRT last month.
Why are you against critical race theory?
Well, it's very divisive. It's basically pitting the races against one another, which I feel is going backwards. We should be unifying. We shouldn't be pitting one another against each other.
Florida recently banned CRT in public schools, but all Central Florida school districts tell WESH 2 News that they don't teach critical race theory anyway, Brevard included.
We're not teaching critical race theory, but we certainly are trying to understand the challenges that our students come into the system with and identify what we can do to ensure them to be successful.
Parents like Hall also want to make sure the district isn't training teachers on CRT, so they won't pass along the idea to their kids.
What are you most concerned about when it comes to critical race theory and your kids?
We cannot teach our kids to not be racist by making them racist.
While critics see CRT as racism, others see it as a lesson in social justice. Uma Menon graduated from Winter Park High School. She now goes to Princeton University and wrote this op-ed for the Washington Post.
Republicans, critical race theory has become a scapegoat,
criticizing Florida's ban on CRT.
What they're trying to do is not just ban critical race theory, but ban any ideas that they disagree with in terms of racial justice. And I think that's really the root of the problem, is banning the ideas that you don't agree with, banning ideas that can help to uplift people who don't have the opportunity to learn about their own histories.
While formal CRT instruction is a college-level course, Menon says she would like to see more racial justice education in public schools.
They're banning the teaching of the truth of what the founding of America looked like and the fact that a lot of people didn't have freedom and equality at that point in time.
Meanwhile, some teachers say they feel like their hands are being tied with the state's new ban on CRT.
Why is there a need to go back and rewrite the rules?
Nicholas Anderson is an Orange County high school teacher and part of the union.
It's about trying to get more of a control over what goes on in the heads of our students. And I think for them to say that we're doing something we're not, and then make negative accusations towards us, is deeply offensive and demoralizing when teachers are